Hi, welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
Tonight we'll talk about Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 28, The Deathwish Run.
Yes.
The Wacky Racer Mario Kart Mad Max
Mashup.
episode.
Yes.
I think I got everything I wanted out of this race.
Okay.
It had just enough crazy shenanigans that it was fun and cute. And good mechanics. And how Matt was adjudicating everything and sort of keeping the narrative of the race moving forward.
Yeah.
And yeah.
The only thing I didn't like was the part where they were discussing making FCG the wheel. And because it felt a lot like coercion. Sam had his concerns. He said multiple times he didn't think it was a good idea. He didn't want to do it. And between Erica continuing, but I'm just saying, if we do this, and then Liam, oh, are you afraid of a wacky idea? And he kind of was like, no, I'm not. Okay, yeah, we'll do it. But he really didn't want to at first. And it felt like the rest of the table didn't respect that. And they were like, come on, do the Sam thing. You know, it's like that meme, all the kids around Bart. And it was for me, it was kind of off-putting feeling.
I thought you were going to mention them talking in circles again. Because that was
After
the hardest part for me.
Into 3 campaigns, it's a given that it's going to happen. Yes, it's going to frustrate me every time, but I'm not going to bring it up every time.
Fair. I mean, that's D&D, though.
I mean, it is. It is. It's part of D&D.
So, and much like any sort of race or sporting event, I was also yelling at the TV a little bit more than I usually do.
Mm.
And maybe that's just because on a subconscious level, that was just in my brain that it's a sporting event. So, but yeah, I was sort of with Matt with FCG. Like, I'm interested to see how this goes, so why not?
Yeah.
I think I would have done things a little differently.
Okay.
Than Matt. In adjudicating the effects on FCG.
Think you would have been harsher?
Yes. I would have made him make a Constitution saving throw at the end of every
section.
Yeah. Because that way, Matt can build in a mechanic to narratively show the strain that he's under, so that the stuff that he narrates at the end doesn't just kind of fall out of the sky.
Okay, I can see that.
Where to me, it felt very much like it just sort of fell out of the sky.
Yeah. I think my favorite part of the race, so I have the least favorite, which we just talked about, a favorite, and a most interesting part of the race.
Okay.
My favorite part was Fern trying to sneak onto the American Gull Pike.
That was
what happens when you shoot a druid dressed up as a squirrel.
That was a part that I was yelling at my TV. Because she's like, I'm going to shape change, I'm going to wild shape. And I was like, into a spider. Into a spider. Into a spider. A flying squirrel. Ah! Spider! Spider, you can just crawl up there. You all have spiders in your car.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I love that the trend continues that she fails every stealth check.
Mm-hmm.
And like multiples, she failed, not just as the flying squirrel.
Yeah. Also, when she was trying to make her way back there through the crowd.
Yeah.
Just that whole scene, Fern being Fern.
Yeah.
Being a Kender.
You know.
Tell me that wasn't a very Kender scene. Especially with the shooting. Nice try. Thank you. Next time, I will. You know, just taking it as like honest, friendly feedback and just.
Yeah, that's funny. The other bit that made me yell at the screen was when they are talking about carrying the bomb in a Bjorn. Or no, we'll put it between us.
Yeah.
I'm just like, put the bomb in the hole. You need it for the fortress. You're not gonna, don't use it for the race. Just put it. And I was just like, and then when they got hit with the bomb,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, that's right. And they're like, no, I had it. And you did save. Okay. And it's just like, and then they're like, oh, ew.
Yeah.
I was like, exactly.
Yeah.
My favorite part of the race was when Chetney transforms into a wolf.
Okay.
Which was set up first by Laudna taking on her form of dread.
Yeah.
And they joked about it looking like a velvet painting. And I hope that somebody did that.
Yeah.
Because I want to see like the Wacky Racer version with FCG up front, eyes glowing, werewolf driving, and the witch on the back.
Yeah. Very Halloween episode.
Oh, so good. I like it. Do you think Laura legitimately forgot about the Otahan thing, or was just too in her character?
I think she was just too in her character. Laura, and we've said before, is typically the most on top of what's happening in world.
Sure.
That I think she was just in her character.
And what I mean by that question is she paints the moon.
Yeah.
On the car and names it the Red Moon.
Yeah. I think that was just Imogen being Imogen. Nothing to do with...
Fair. The early funny thing that became the running gag, and I think it's because they strapped him to the front of the bike, is Sam turning everything into Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Skin. His turtle shells for the Spirit Guardians, great flavor in the moment, so good.
Ready to feel spiritual weapon. Remember, kids, read your spells.
It was funny.
I really love the combo at the beginning with Imogen doing blindness, Laudna doing bane, and I put boil, but heat metal.
So,
I love heat metal. I love that spell.
Me too.
And I was so glad it was used.
If I'm playing a druid or a bard,
if I'm playing anyone who can get it on their spell list, I'm getting it.
Yeah, it's
regardless.
Too good. I don't recall anything about if you get out of range, they can't use it anymore.
Yeah.
Like Witchbolt has that built in.
Yeah.
Witchbolt says if you get out of range, they can't use it anymore. But Heat Metal doesn't have that language in it, to my recollection. So she could have just kept doing it.
Yeah. Just kept the concentration for the whole, what is it, a minute?
Yep.
Yeah.
1 minute. So, yeah. If she could have gotten it off, I think she could have kept it going.
Okay.
Also, in theory, she could also have changed shape into something with a 60-foot or 50-foot move speed.
Yeah.
And kept up with them. Like an elk or a giant goat.
Mm-hmm.
She probably could have done a giant lizard, and then she could have just climbed down.
Yeah.
But I think her doing anything like that makes her a target.
Oh yeah,
of the racers.
Very much so. Because there's. Yeah.
The other thing that I sort of chuckled on my rewatch. I didn't put it together on my first viewing, but in prepping for the show tonight, I realized none of the other racers or their people riding shotgun, as it were magic users. And I think there's an interesting commentary to be had, because magic users, if you look at it one way, they're smarter. They're too smart to be caught dead in this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or they are so valuable, those who sponsor them will not allow them.
Will not risk it, yeah.
Yeah. Either option is funny. And an interesting, helped these guys stand out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting to me. The big thing for me right off the bat, because speaking of right off the bat, is Imogen's command. Even before she cast the blindness.
Oh yeah.
And eliminated the car, her casting command break. Yeah. So good. And probably saved the Paragon's Call life until the third section.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they would have been up in the mix and they would have been targeting them as well. I loved Marisha casting Infestation, especially how she narrated it.
Yeah.
Just because, thanks to Caduceus and Jester, we have a relationship with bees appearing on the show.
Yeah.
And of course, she connected it to, it's the Wicker Man, right?
Yes.
Nicolas Cage?
Yes.
Yeah. The bees! So good. But an interesting choice of spell in the moment to try to get them to move. Because they were doing things to try to control movement.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that I think the way Matt did it, while it worked, for what he was trying to do and to keep the narrative flow going.
Mm-hmm.
The minor, especially Ashton's stuff, where he pulls them 10 feet closer, or it's difficult terrain out to a certain distance. Also adjudicating the difficult terrain of the Spirit Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
Which, my reading, it's difficult terrain for those vehicles.
Right.
Where Matt didn't necessarily treat it as such. And mostly it's because of the way that Sam asked. I think it was Sam. About how it affects them versus the driver.
Yeah.
But because Matt wasn't keeping track of, there's 10, 20 feet difference between everybody. Those minor things didn't do... In some ways, they were more powerful, potentially, than they should have been. Because it sounds like these crawlers have a speed of somewhere between 40 and 60.
Yeah.
So, does costing them 10 feet of movement should that really mean they don't get to use the bonus action? I mean, Matt wants to give them something, and I understand that. And I think the way that he was doing it, that works.
Yeah.
But I think the way that I would have done it is keep relative positions, move your minis however you want to move it in sort of lateral space, how close they are to one another. And for who's in the lead, I would have just had a score. And it's your movement. So if the vehicle's movement is 60 and they go move, action, bonus action, that's 180 points a turn.
Okay.
Or 18 points, you just drop the 0. And that way you can figure feet. And that enables you to play a little more with the by a hair aspect. Again, I have no problem with the way Matt did it.
Yeah.
I think, rightly so, he set it up as if you kill your opponents, you win. So there's no need to get that nitty-gritty about are you 5, 10, a car length down to that level. Whereas if it was a legitimate race about who crosses the finish line first, then that gets
well,
more
I mean,
into
if you
play.
kill all your opponents, then you're going to cross the finish line first. So
Yes. So because of that, I don't think he was right in not necessarily doing it that way.
Yeah.
While still rewarding the players for their control abilities that they were using.
Yeah.
Orum's plan, the execution of the plan, was perfect, and was one of my favorite moments.
Okay.
Especially having to save Dusk.
Yeah.
And I'm interested if you have a reason why, when you were watching it, Dusk didn't Misty Step.
I don't necessarily. The only thing I can think of is she was holding on to it. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, well, and I was thinking she was holding on to it because she was holding it to confront one of the players.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then of course after the reveal, it's like, well, maybe. Because we assumed she was Eladrin, and it was her racial spellcasting, or the racial ability that they have.
I mean, she could have the Fade touch feet.
Yeah. Especially if she's a 4/4. Because we talked about why she doesn't have multi-attack.
She's not a 4/4. I don't think she is.
Okay.
I think she's a 5/3. I think she just didn't take the invocation. And crit roll stats doesn't have an exact breakdown for her, but it says she's at least 5 warlock, at least 2 paladin. So she's either 5/3 or 6/2. I assume she's going to be 5/3 because that allows her to get her oath.
Yeah. Agreed.
And that way, they didn't lie when they said level 5 warlock. They just didn't give us all the information. And that was my most interesting part of the race, because that's when we learned she is a paladin.
Which she
because
laid on
when
hands.
Madness goes down and she's like, how many points can I give her with lay on hands? I was like, the fuck? That's not a warlock ability.
Yeah. Yeah.
I picked up on that right away. And I'm surprised that the party didn't seem to.
Yeah.
Especially Liam and Travis, who have both played paladins.
Well, I mean, Travis was playing this very mix
Yeah.
last campaign. Ford was a warlock paladin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like,
So, Rose, that wasn't one that I yelled at the TV about. That was just
I did.
my Spock eyebrow raise at the TV. I was like, oh, okay.
Not me. I was all, what you talking about, Willis? I was like, no.
That, for me, I think, helped amp up my it's gonna happen this episode.
Oh, yeah. At that point, I knew it was going to happen. And honestly, thinking back, I think Travis may have clocked it. I know at the end of the episode, he talked about he had this random thought over the weekend, but I think that is what informed the character, possibly, or what gave Travis the, okay, I have to
confront her right now.
confront this, because she's
I can
not
see that.
all that she says she is.
I can see that.
He didn't. If he did, he did a great job at concealing it.
Well, kudos to his poker face after he made the insight check.
Yeah, after she whispered in his ears.
Yeah.
Because at first when he did that, when he pulled it, I know I'm jumping ahead, but I was just like, is Travis metagaming here?
I consider that he watched episodes.
I considered it for about half of that scene, that mini scene, that interaction, and I was like, no, I really don't think anyone at the table would do that.
No, I don't think so.
But I was confused, and that's when I was like, the only thing I can think of is he picked up on the lay on hands.
Mm.
And then later he's like, oh yeah, I thought over the weekend, is she hunt? And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, and found a reason to sneak it into the character.
Yeah. So Rose might be right that that was just his way of doing it in character.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Matt did miss was he didn't make Chetney roll to get around or get over the crater that blew up.
Yeah.
He just sort of, Ashton had to, but for whatever reason, he just kind of skipped by it. And
Were they lined up with each other at that point?
they were both facing the crater.
Okay.
It was big enough that they were both.
Yeah, I couldn't remember exactly
But-
how it was with the.
And there's a moment when Travis sort of like it's okay. I don't have to worry about it. We're moving on. I will keep my mouth shut.
Yes. And we have the whole gamut. We have from Travis doing that to we've had multiple instances where Liam's like, well, I don't want to be that guy, but do I need to do this or do they need to do that?
Well, and Laura was like that with the
Which-
bomb.
Yeah, which is what I do at the table. You know, I'm the one that'll be like, did we forget? Do I have to? Do they have to?
Yeah.
Because for me, the chance for failure is part of what makes the game fun.
Yeah.
And it's part of what makes the good story. If
Yeah.
everything just goes smoothly,
Yeah.
it's not as fun.
Exactly. The drama, the conflict is in overcoming the failures.
Yes. Especially the ones that you create for yourself.
Yes. So the first part of the episode, I struggled to choose an MVP. Because for me, it's a toss-up between Laudna and Imogen. Laudna had the big Bane move. She took over driving at the one point. But Imogen had command, blind. She was shoving the weapons, the goblin around.
Yeah.
So denying them attack actions. I don't know.
I don't know. For me, it was between Laudna. Because, I mean, for me, Imogen just did her part. Yeah, she had some great maneuvers. But she just, did the task.
Okay.
Laudna was doing her thing, but then jumped into the driver's seat. Climbed up and tried to pull the net off.
Okay.
Actually was a big enough threat overall that she's the one that went down.
Yeah.
And FCG, because of the spirit, partly because I felt bad because he kind of was forced into his role, but
Okay.
with the Mario Kart theme and the headlights allowing them all to see in the cavern and
Yeah. But I mean, in that sense, FCG was also just playing his part.
right, that's true, but it was a part he was forced into and he took it like a champ.
Okay. We finished the race,
Yes.
and another moment that I was sort of yelling at the screen was as they were coming up, and Fern is at the finish line. I was just like, spike growth, spike growth. Just mostly because I wanted to, like, if you're going to use it, this is the time to use it. And it's possible because the wheels only had, or the front wheel only had like 20,
And a 21 AC and 25 hit points.
25 hit points. So it's possible spike growth would have taken out one of those vehicles.
Yeah, but by the finish line, it was just the 3.
Yeah. But
I mean, it's pretty good. You enter 2 vehicles and you take all 3 top spots.
yeah.
I mean, and plus that if she had done spike growth at any point since FCG was the wheel, that would have been damage straight to him.
Yeah, but it's Fern. Spike growth is an ultimate chaos in a race. But yeah. After the break, come back and Imogen was hiding for that. Imogen was hiding from Otahan.
Yes.
At the end of the
She
race.
recognized.
And Matt even made her make a stealth check.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if it was effective and how long it lasts. But that's probably going to be the week after next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if... In the moment, I think avoiding was the right move, probably.
Oh, it's not over.
Um,
Once they deal with this scene at the end, then, the whole point of the race was to get in with them. They've got to go see her. So avoiding in the moment there was the right thing to do because they had to take care of this. They had to get FCG repaired. They had to meet up with Birdie before they go hit.
But we come back from break and Imogen fills Laudna in. Hey, that lady's the one from my dream.
Yeah.
And Marisha was so happy, I think.
Yes.
To be able to have Laudna know that information for sure.
Yes.
She was very disappointed she failed that check.
So was I.
I wasn't. I think... I don't know if I mentioned this or not. But this campaign, they've been doing a lot more with dramatic irony.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I did. But yeah. Rose, I'm pretty sure she's an antagonist. I'm pretty sure she is filling a similar role to Lucian.
Yeah.
It's a question of, does she see Imogen as an ally or not, is the only question. Of course, we might be operating on a false assumption that Otahan also has seen Imogen. Because that may not be the case.
I think she has, and I think it doesn't come down to whether she sees her as someone that can be an ally or not. I think it's if she sees her as a tool or not.
Can Laura pull a cupcake out of her bag twice? You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And I am by no means going to say that she can't. I'm going to say it's unlikely.
Okay.
I don't know if Matt will let that surprise him twice in a row or something to that degree.
Okay.
She's either going to try and be really good at it, or she's going to try and telegraph it too well that Matt will have something prepared for it.
Okay. I have faith. I think she can do it twice. I think she can basically turn this potential enemy into either neutral or an ally. I think she can do it. And I look forward to watching it happen. But, so the hardest obstacle for that to happen, though, is Jester went in there confident and with a plan. And thus far, Imogen rarely has either of those things.
And she's also not... She's a reactor, not an improv. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
She's... Something happens and she's like, okay, this. Whereas Jester was, oh, okay, let's just roll with that and go this way then. You know.
Fair.
And that's why I'm not sure she can do it twice, because Laura has it in her. I don't know if Imogen has it in her.
And see, I think slowly she's changing to have that. And I think it's interesting that Matt has this other potentially Ruidus born leading this war band.
Yeah.
That Imogen knows that Ruidus born can rise to and make great changes.
Yeah.
I think there's part of her that's beginning to accept that. And like she, up until they left Drusar, she was very much trying to figure out what her powers are, where they come from. Where now that's sort of on the back burner for her, I think. I think she's come to a spot where these are my powers, and
Yes.
she's understanding how to use them more and more.
Well, I also think not necessarily giving up on the search, but giving up on the academic search for the course of her powers and going with the experiential search. Just test these things out. Let's go to the moon. They actually had that conversation.
If she gets teleport, in theory, they can go there.
Yep.
Although Matt has described it with an atmosphere, so they won't be exposed to vacuum.
No.
Whether that atmosphere is breathable or not is another matter entirely.
Well, I don't think it's any coincidence that with the newest Critical Role book that they introduced the air bubble. Common magic item. I'll let you breathe for an hour.
Okay, yeah, fair. Now I'm just trying to think which one of them is going to be Guy for Galaxy Quest. Why you open the door? Is there air? You don't know.
Orem. He's the most practical of them. He's the one that's going to think of that.
Yeah, fair.
Poor Laudna. So she rejects Dusk. But then the reveal at the end, what's that doing to her self-esteem? In her words, first person in how many decades to profess any romance? Were you just using me?
Absolutely.
We're going to have the did it mean nothing scene.
Yes.
And Marisha's going to pour her heart into that next episode. Marisha's the type that would do that.
I don't know. I mean, I think we will have that exchange. I don't know how in-depth it's going to be. And when the reveal of her being a changeling happened,
yes,
it totally recontextualized her interactions with Laudna and Orem. Because we were looking at it from the standpoint of the secret agent seducing the nearby people of the target just for that manipulation and getting close and everything. In retrospect, now having the knowledge that she's a changeling, she could have been doing it to replace them.
True.
Because either one, we had a thing with Dusk, it ended awkwardly. She decided to leave. And everyone goes, oh, okay. And now she has replaced either one in the group.
Especially if she has the actor fee.
So I was thinking about this in the context of,
I think if you make it changeling, it's almost required that you have the actor fee.
I mean, I don't think it certainly is helpful, but because I started thinking about this Friday or Saturday, like how would I adjudicate that at the table? And we're back, sort of. Updates, system crashes. Oh my. I wish I could say it was the environment, the storms we've been having today, but unfortunately, or fortunately, it wasn't that. Hey guys. We were at about to discuss how I would adjudicate the changeling replacing somebody else.
Yes.
And I think for their table, it would be fun for, if that were to happen, Erica texts Matt, please make everyone else go away. And they adjudicate the fight, or whatever. And then Erica replaces them. Dusk replaces them and tells whoever it is, Marisha or Liam, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
They come back, and now they are playing Dusk playing them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could do that at just any table. And it definitely requires a little more buy-in, I think, from the players.
Definitely.
But I think that would have been a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think you need a bigger table like that to pull that off. The fewer people at the table, the harder it is to pull that off.
true.
And yeah, you definitely have people who are going to be willing to buy into my character's not here right now, and B, I'm my character right now, but not.
Yes. Exactly. FCG got the 10-man treatment.
Yep.
It was very hard in my to drown it, to stop that song from playing when they were talking about all the stuff that they were doing to him. Imogen casting Detect Thoughts on Dusk and getting nothing was awesome. So good. And then when she tries to listen into her dreams later and gets nothing again, it's so good. Someone is going to isolate her reaction to that.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing that edit. I think it's the Ring of Mind Shielding.
I do too.
Rose.
I absolutely think it's the Ring of Mind Shielding.
I struggle to think of, or maybe the Aberrant Mind, but I don't think there's a racial ability, and I don't think there's any Paladin or Warlock ability that shields you. Because even the Goo Warlock, they have telepathy. They can't shield their mind.
Yeah.
They have no ability to do that. So, yeah, I'm almost positive it's the Ring of Mind Shielding.
Which we saw prominently in the last campaign.
Yeah. Interesting tactic, I thought. And I would be interested to see if she appears on Four-Sided Dive, if they talk to Erica about it. But what was the reason for her to turn around and go to Fern and say, Chani just offered to help me kill your parents?
So distrust.
Do you think that's it? Get out in front of the story, as it were?
Did you see the way she was like, and I know you have no reason to trust me. It's like, trust me, please, you know. Yeah, that was just total setup for it, gaslighting, basically, you know. Just like, no, because see, I came to you with that. Obviously, I'm not doing that. If I was going to do that, I wouldn't have come to you about that.
Yeah. I don't know, it just seemed like a very panicky thing to do. Yeah, especially if she wasn't going to go after Fern right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was because she didn't know, like, if one of them's onto me, are all of them onto me? Is someone else onto me? I've got to cover my tracks in case someone else comes up to me.
Fair.
That's the vibe I got.
Okay. I mean, I buy that. It would just be interesting to hear Erica go through it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she will be on Four-Sided Dive.
I think that's why they delayed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Fern's reaction to it was great. And you could tell Dusk didn't know what to do with that information.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And I mean, yeah, of course Chetney's going to offer to help kill them. He's evil.
Yeah. I loved Liam at the end, or before the break for the next morning, as they're about to go into a long rest. He's like, I think Orem has just been sort of feeling lonely and sitting by himself and just sort of watching everybody, and followed all of these conversations,
including that one.
And they're like, oh, what? And he's like, I can read lips. And they're like, oh, so good.
I don't have lips. And see, and my brain just went to FCG looking like one of the Canadians from South Park.
Yes. Terrence and Philip, yeah.
Yeah. Or Ike, or, anyone of Canadian descent.
Yeah. Do you think they were a little...
Yes, Rose.
Traditional Critical Role table etiquette, as the shit hits the fan, everybody tries to say they're going to do something.
I mean, that's standard D&D etiquette, to be fair.
Yes. True. Very true.
And you can tell how quickly who picks up on it by who's saying something first before the shit actually hits the fan.
Oh, yeah. Do you think her tattoo is magical?
No.
Okay.
I think it's merely her fluff flavor of how her shape change mechanic works.
Do you think it's an Inception spinning top kind of a thing?
That could be.
That tattoo is
But
what's real?
For Wilde versus Prime material?
No, I just mean like... Because it would be easy, especially if she does have the actor feat, for a changeling to just get lost in a role and forget
yeah,
who they really are. That tattoo is what grounds her.
Yeah, that could be.
Which is why when she's changing shape, it comes from that tattoo.
Yeah.
If it's not magical. But I have a feeling it might be.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be how she is going to capture Fern and or her mother.
Okay.
Like maybe it allows her to cast Tidal Wave or Watery Sphere or something like that. Yeah, Rose, going for them immediately was the thing to do. I don't know. Because it's a high tension moment, Matt's not going to interrupt that with asking for an athletics check.
Right.
But I think that may be the first thing that happens. Is a retroactive athletics check. Okay, you got hands on them. Can you keep control of them? and I don't know. Some of that will depend on initiative.
You know, if she is 5'3", and she is Oath of Ancients,
that's where my mind went.
With everything. She has an ensnare ability with her Channel of Divinity.
Well, and she also has the ability
to turn Fae.
Yeah.
Which 2 of them are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
like, and I know the Oath of Ancients describes it as vines, but I could see it being the tattoo. To wrap around and ensnare.
Yeah. Well, and every time she's rolled initiative, she's rolled pretty well. Or she's gotten a good result.
Yeah.
She's 8th level, and if she is 5'3", so she wouldn't have 2 ASIs. So she probably doesn't have alert.
Yeah, it depends on what her 1 ASI is.
Yeah. I think it's going to be... Excuse me.
I think it's going to be Fae touch.
Maybe the tattoo is how she's going to even the fight. How the encounter's going to get even. Because she's level 8. They're 7? 6. 2 levels is not enough.
No.
But if she can summon water elementals from the tattoo, or like that kind of thing, it will level out the encounter.
Yeah.
And it may be she can grab him and teleport somewhere. If she can do that, that's another possibility. Although I don't. Misty Step, you can't take people with you.
Yeah.
And she's not high enough level in either place to get Dimension Door.
Correct.
Though it's not impossible that she has an item that...
Cloak of the Mountebank.
Yeah. That allows some form of teleportation.
I mean, that just flat out allows Dimension Door.
Yeah.
So once per day.
Yeah.
But once is better than 0.
Yeah. And the thing is if she can conjure that elemental to keep
them busy while she absconds.
Turns Fae.
Yep.
And makes them run to separate the groups. Now she can Misty Step to where her quarry is running.
And then Dimension Door them away.
Yeah.
Yep.
If she's Oath of Vengeance. She may be Oath of Vengeance. We don't know. We haven't seen.
We haven't seen enough.
I am saddened that it was only 6 years. Or at least 6 years how she reckons it.
Yeah. Yeah, the 690 split.
Because it's odd that Fern would think more time has passed. Because generally, in the Feywild, less time passes.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting mix. Twist. But yeah. We'll have to see in the next episode. Which won't be this Thursday, right?
Nope. It'll be the following
Thursday.
The other thing that I knew right at the end, I was like, it's going down now, was she's like, no, I've never seen you. I don't know you.
Oh, yeah.
And she kept like, well, no, you probably just... No, I'm pretty sure I don't know you.
Yeah.
And that's when she's like, oh, shit, I'm going to spring this now.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to wait until then, unfortunately. Matt's good at the big cliffhangers before they take a break.
That was the perfect spot to be like, and we'll see you next time. And he did say next week, but
Yeah.
their schedule says no.
Well, it's just habit.
Yeah.
I mean, for 5 years he said next week.
Yeah.
So yeah. Uh, we will talk to you guys certainly that Tuesday after.
Thanks.